Hi, I'm Neha, and you're watching Corporate Penthouse, where we break down business strategy into clear, actionable insights. Let me start with a question that sounds simple, but creates a lot of confusion. Should you focus on being customer-centric first? Or should you focus on achieving product-market fit? Because if you listen to most advice, it feels like you have to choose. Some people will tell you, obsess over the customer. Others will say, nothing matters until you have product market fit. But here's the reality. This is not a choice. And if you treat it like one, you'll get both wrong. The reason this question exists is because both concepts are misunderstood. Let's start with customer centricity. Most people think customer centricity means listening to everything your customers say, taking every piece of feedback seriously, building features based on requests. But that's not customer centricity. That's customer-driven chaos. Because customers don't always know what the best solution looks like. They describe symptoms, not systems. Now let's look at product market fit. This is often simplified as people are buying your product, but that's not enough. One-time purchases are not product market fit. Discount-driven growth is not product market fit. True product market fit is when your product consistently solves a meaningful problem in a way that customers come back, stay, and even advocate for. So already we can see the issue. We're comparing two things that are not even on the same level. Let's start with clarity. What these actually mean. Customer centricity is not about listening. It's about understanding. Understanding customer behavior, understanding context. Understanding what they struggle with, even when they can't articulate it clearly. Product market fit, on the other hand, is an outcome. It's what happens when your product aligns perfectly with a real, high-value need in a defined market. So here's the key insight. Customer centricity is the input. Product market fit is the output. And once you see it this way, the question of which comes first becomes irrelevant. So what is the real relationship? This is not a debate, it's a sequence. You start with customer insight, you translate that into a problem, you build a solution, and then you validate product market fit. If you skip the first step, your product is based on assumptions. If you skip the last step, your insights never translate into a real business. So both are critical, but they play different roles. Now let's talk about what actually happens in the real world, where most founders go wrong. Because most teams don't get this balance right. They fall into one of two traps. Trap 1, over customer centric. This is when teams listen too much. Every customer request becomes a feature. Every complaint becomes a priority. And over time, the product becomes fragmented. There's no clear direction, no strong positioning, and no scalable value. Because you're building for everyone, and therefore for no one. Trap 2, over product driven. This is the opposite extreme. Founders fall in love with their idea. They believe they know what the customer needs. They build in isolation and then launch, expecting demand to follow. But without real customer insight, there's no pull. And without pull, there's no product market fit. So the problem is not choosing one over the other. The problem is misapplying both. Let's take an example and see what this looks like in reality. Take Amazon. Amazon is known for being extremely customer-centric, but notice how they apply it. They don't build everything customers ask for. They identify patterns. For example, customers wanted faster delivery. Now, customers didn't say build Prime with a subscription model. That was Amazon translating insight into strategy. They understood the underlying need, speed and convenience, and then built a scalable solution. That's customer centricity leading to product market fit. Now look at Airbnb. In the early days, Airbnb struggled to grow. So what did the founders do? They didn't sit in an office analyzing dashboards. They went to New York, met hosts, spoke to users directly, and discovered something critical. The listings looked bad. Low-quality photos were killing trust. Now users didn't explicitly say, we need professional photography. But Airbnb identified the problem. They sent photographers, improved listings, and growth followed. Again, customer insight leading to product market fit. And then there are countless examples of failure. Products that were beautifully built, technically advanced, but nobody needed them because they were solving a problem that didn't matter enough. So what should you actually do? Let's make this practical. If you're building something today, here's the operating model. First, focus on customer insight, not opinions, not feature requests, but real behavior. What are people actually doing? Where are they struggling? What are they already trying to solve? Second, define the problem clearly, not 5 problems. 1. High value, high frequency, something people must solve. Third, build a focused solution, not a full product, just enough to test whether your understanding is correct. And finally, fourth, look for product market fit signals. Are users coming back? Are they willing to pay? Are they recommending it? Is adoption happening without heavy push? If the answer is no, don't scale. Go back. Refine your understanding. So let's come back to the original question. What comes first, customer centricity or product market fit? Customer centricity comes first, but not in the way most people think. Not as blind listening, not as feature collection, but as structured, deep understanding. Because customers don't give you products, they give you signals. Your job is to interpret those signals correctly and translate them into something scalable. So if you're building right now, ask yourself this. Are you truly understanding your customer, or are you just reacting to them? Because the difference between the two is the difference between building noise and building something that actually fits the market.